Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Entrepreneur's Playbook, where we help 7 and 8 figure business owners ignite their financial superpowers. You just listened to part one of our talk on good debt versus bad debt, productive debt versus unproductive debt. Here we are. We're going to go over part two with you. So I think, like almost every topic we talk about, it comes back to our numbers.
No, yeah. Or just exactly going through the exercise as the entrepreneur. But I just want to side the bar here real quick is like how fast you can consume six figures. Like doing ad spend, if you're not really vigilant, like that's easy to spend, especially like if you don't keep track of your marketing agencies. Like I can't tell you how many times like the entrepreneurs come back and said, my ad agency just spent $20,000 without my authority. Like these things happen. So you got to be really intentional about what you're doing and what you're investing in. And I think it's like a mindset. It's got to be seen as an investment. This isn't just, oh, this is what they're telling me I need to spend. No, you as the entrepreneur need to be intentional about what you're spending and what you think you're getting back. And everybody wants that crystal ball about, hey, I need to know I'm going to make this money back. It's not that easy. But I definitely think like you, the entrepreneur, are in the best position, the best seat to be able to predict it. And then two is by going through the exercise, you're better off like than probably 90% of the entrepreneurs out there, because most people just fly by the seat of their pants with hope. But if you're intentional about this is what I want to build, this is what it's going to take, it's going to cost me, this is how we're going to spend it, and this is how it's going to operate on the back end. Again, you're putting yourself in such a high percentage of success by doing that exercise, then like I said, 90% of the entrepreneurs out there and business owners out there.
And I think even beyond that, like you have to start there. And then on the back end, you have to have a clear plan with your cash flow of how that debt's going to be paid off. Because how many times have you seen that? I've seen it a million times where you plan everything out correctly. Like I got this launch coming up next quarter. It's going to bring in $150,000. So I'm going to take out this $50,000 of debt to get through that. Everything plays out according to plan. You get this $150,000, but instead of paying off that debt like you planned, it's, oh, let's roll this over and then do this. And then next thing you know, you're taking out more debt and now you're just buried in debt and you didn't have to be. So
Yeah.
it's just all the way around. You have to know what you're projecting, and then you have to have plans for that cash flow that you're projecting to make sure that debt does get taken care of so it doesn't snowball into this unmanageable problem.
Yeah. 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 People get away. I think people, even with the plans, they get away from the plans because they get a little super excited about the success they've had. And again, there's levels to this game. You're successful here and now you want to get here, but you forget that all the work, all the planning you did to get here, you think you can bypass to get there.
Right.
And that's, I think, really where people get in trouble is like they've done all the work the first time around and then they start taking shortcuts on the second time. And then, like you said, right, the law of diminishing returns, all of a sudden your marketing spend, ROI, your return on your marketing spend, your ROI is like half of what it should be because now, oh, your audience isn't there where you thought they were. Again, consistently and repeating. You hate to, but you have to do the work and then you hit success. You do the work again. You hit a higher level of success. You do the work again. You hit a higher level of success. And that's exactly how you build great companies. But I know exactly what you're talking about. People take the shortcut. They don't stick to the plan, pay the debt off. They double down. They don't do the work. And then all of a sudden they had that success, but now they have almost a double failure.
No, and what you brought up is a great point, that the diminishing returns, because we sit there and think I spent 50,000 and brought in 150,000 with it last time, so I'll just do that again. And
Right.
it doesn't necessarily work that way. Eventually those returns start diminishing. So again, it just comes back to you've got to know your numbers. You've got to be able to project accurately as possible. And sometimes mistakes will be made and you just got to be able to account for them. But I think the other hard part in this, in entrepreneurship especially, there's a lot of that over optimism. You got to believe in yourself no matter what. And obviously there's truth to it. Like there's going to be doubts and you got to believe in yourself and people will doubt you and all that. But sometimes the results are talking to you and you better be able to adjust. Like we've all seen the guy that believes in himself so much and goes into all this debt to do it and then doesn't get the returns and believes in himself is going to take out more debt to do it. And sometimes that works out, but very often it doesn't. So I think when you are getting results, you've got to learn from those results. Results are telling you something, right? And sometimes it's you better change or stop what you're doing or you're going to be buried here.
Yeah. No, we talk about this course correct every month. Data, course correct every month. You're going to create great business. Let's talk a little about the good debt. Maybe do a little long summary here. Like the good debt is when you have a path mapped out and everything you need to be successful, and then you know what that dollar amount is, and you say, okay, to get to do my next launch with team, with my salesperson, with the ad spend, say 75,000. Right now I got 25 in the bank, so I need 50. Okay. And then so you figure out, okay, if I'm going to do the $75,000 launch, this is the number of customers. This is my lifetime value of my customer. This is my positive cash flow, first 90, 6 months, 1 year. So you have that all mapped out. And like you said, okay, with this, with my team, with my overhead, I'm going to have positive cash flow. With that positive cash flow, I'm going to service that $50,000 worth of debt with other positive cash flow that I'm going to be able to reinvest in the business for launch 2 and launch 3. That makes sense. The bad debt is, hey, I want to grow my business. My ad agency is telling me I need $50,000 of marketing spend for my next launch. Let's go do it. And I don't know if that's bad debt necessarily. That's just debt without a plan,
Yep.
which I term bad debt, or what did you say? Unproductive debt.
Yep.
Is that being a successful entrepreneur is not throwing spaghetti against the wall and seeing what sticks. It's just not. And I guess that's the point of this conversation is like, first, I think is an important piece is acknowledge there is good debt. Not all debt is bad, but there is bad debt out there. And that's something that every entrepreneur should prioritize and understand how that goes about. What would be maybe in your time helping entrepreneurs and business owners, like maybe is there any cases that come to mind right off the bat? Obviously can't use names or amounts.
As far as good debt or bad debt,
Yeah,
or
yeah, good debt or bad debt. Yeah.
okay, yeah. I mean, to me, the ones that stand out are the bad ones, just because it's so crippling, and it's. I mean, it could take years and years to crawl out of a situation like that. I think what you said, I'm sitting there listening to all the things that you said that you should be going through, and it sounds hard and it sounds intense, and it is, and it should be. You shouldn't be taking on significant debt without making a significant decision-making process here. And I think that's what I see the difference is between people that are using debt wisely and people who aren't. People who are using it wisely are doing exactly what she said. They have a team that's giving them the numbers. They have a team that's helping them project what this would look like if they had that money. And they have a very clear plan in place. And it doesn't mean they always hit it. Sometimes mistakes are still going to be made, but they have that plan in place. And more often than not, they're going to come close to doing what they said they're going to do. And they're going to be responsible with that debt. People that we see getting into trouble, or I see getting into trouble, are the people that just get into business. They hear these online gurus saying anyone can do it. So they go and they get a $50,000 line of credit or credit card or whatever, pile it on without any real projections. They don't see the initial returns, but they got to keep going. So then they go get $50,000 more of debt. And next thing they're crippled with no real business in place. So I just think exactly what you said is the key. You've got to ask those tough questions. You've got to put in a significant amount of work. And you have to almost have a healthy fear of debt. Yes, this can be productive. This can be good debt, but it can also cripple me. So let's do the work to make sure that we're doing this the right way.
Yeah, cool. And then I would just say the last piece when you were talking is that usually after the business owner has gone through this, where maybe we get introduced to them, they're like, if only I knew how bad things were when they were happening, as opposed to 3 or 6 months later, by the time they actually get their numbers back from their bookkeeper or really are able to reconcile everything down. So I think a big piece of this too is just maintaining those accurate numbers throughout the process. Current, accurate. Those are my two big words, is like current and accurate.
Yeah.
So again, course correct. Nobody comes out and does a launch or opens up a new location and hits it every time, right? But say if we have a professional, they're doing really well. We were just talking about this veterinary and doggy daycare really well in one area. Boom, they want to go to another area. There's a new community opening up. They want to be the first one there, right? Sometimes you hit that, sometimes you don't. But if you don't, what they did to their first projections weren't probably right. Over time, they made the corrections. They made reinvestments in certain things. They were able to grow that second location. You're not always going to hit those things, but it's also what do you do afterwards to be able to, take that investment and really make it profitable. So, but hey, I appreciate it, Josh. I think that was for me, opened some new pathways for me about how I think about debt. So I appreciate being with you. Any parting thoughts?
Parting thought, Cleveland Guardians, one of the greatest games of all time. By the time you listening to this, I might have won the World Series. So let's go Guards.
Awesome. All
All
right,
right. Well,
cool.
we'll see you next time,
All
Lyle.
right, awesome. Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate it.